This is Seth Beamer, and you're listening to the Pivot Points podcast. Pivot Points dissects the lives of artists at their most crucial intersections, investigating the trials of this insane career and how they are overcome. These are the stories of the crossroads that, for better or worse, shape us all into the people, friends, and musicians we're meant to be. Pivot Points is brought to you by Discovr Radio. If you're an artist looking to get your music onto a broader stage, check out Discovr in the show notes. Today's guest is Patrick Armould, who you might know from his work in other projects, but right now, he's stepping into something new with his own solo project. He just released his first single under this new chapter, and I always think that moment is really interesting because it's not just about putting out new music. It's about stepping out on your own and figuring out what you actually want to say. This conversation is all about that transition, the pivot into something more personal, more intentional, and what it's like to start over in a lot of ways. This is Patrick Armould. I'm glad you're here, man.
Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. So tell me about, we've known each other for a long time. We'll start with that.
I know. Well, man, so I think it's funny because I was such a, and I still am, but like such a big fan of your work in Wilderness and then later on. But going to Wilderness shows in high school, you guys were the big inspiration for my band, you know, at the time, being the big kids on the block in Denver.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Just really leading the charge. And so, and then I think you and I met the first time at Andy Sito's show at the Ogden.
We did. You were guitar teching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
very unofficial guitar tech. But yeah. And he opened for Co Wetzel that night, I think. It was a huge night for him, which was really cool. But yeah, you were there doing film stuff. And I just remember asking you all about what you were doing. And I can't remember if you had left by then, but
not at that point.
Not at that point.
It's funny, man. Andy Sito, the great connector.
Yeah.
He's the, you know, I feel like maybe you could say the same, but I've met a lot of friends and a lot of people through him.
He's just, and I don't know, he's one of those dudes who I always wish I could be more like in a lot of ways, you know, like he's extremely talented, and to watch someone like him who's made his career kind of be what it is, and just having essentially really nice ride throughout his entire career has just been really cool to watch. And
yeah, man. So he's a hard worker, self-made man, and like I said, a great connector within the industry.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to Andy.
Yeah, dude. Well, and so you have some other projects since then, because at that time it was American Field Day.
Yeah.
And is that still, like, we'll kind of start there. Is that still a thing?
I mean, so I had done, so I was in a band in high school, and that was kind of the start of all of it. When I got to high school, I went to a school that had an arts conservatory, and being an athlete, I had made friends with some guys over there in the conservatory. And I just started playing guitar like right before I got to high school. So it was interesting to me, and I was like a little inspired by just doing something different. And when I met a lot of those guys, they were like, you know, you should really think about singing. And like, you're actually kind of decent at it, just from being in practice rooms and like humming along to like, you know, jamming songs with the other guys. And they were all just so supportive and so kind to me. And at that point in time, it was such a question mark as to if that was going to be like, I was not ever thinking that it was going to be something I would do, you know, with my life, but it was really fun. And then eventually started a band in high school, and that was enough. There was enough buzz that we got about that very randomly without even trying, like in Denver, where it was enough confidence for me to be like, well, maybe I could, you know, try and do this. And that all just like, I don't know, I'm like skipping past a lot of stuff, but it essentially led to me meeting my first manager, and he was like, why don't you try doing your solo project? Like, all the guys that I was in my band with had left for college, and so it was time to kind of start something different, still being back in Denver for one more year.
So you had a manager. This is the manager of this same band?
So he came in right at the start of American Field Day and was like, let's work on this new project together.
Cool.
So yeah, he came in like at the tail end of my first band, Halloway.
And how did he find you? How'd you find him? Because in high school, I know there's probably people who listen to this who are like, how do you get a manager?
Yeah.
Or when's the right time? And you got one in high school.
Yeah.
How did that all work out?
It's a good question. I mean, both of the managers I've worked with were both really accidental kind of relationships that I fell into, which in a lot of ways is kind of how I prefer it, just because I think if that relationship feels forced at all, it can be really tough to manage down the line when things don't always go great. So, but how that happened was I was pitching my band for a lot of shows, and one of them was to go open for who is now like one of my really great friends, Joe Pug, in Fort Collins in Colorado. And his manager had just listened to like our whole record and was like, this is like, I love this. I don't know what this is. It's just like this high school band, but
cool.
He was really, really fired up about it. I think with a lot of, I don't know, he was just kind of like, there's a lot of meat left on the bone, but there's so much to work with here with the music that's just being made. I think he was really interested. And then we just kind of kept growing our relationship. Like he was like, we don't do full bands to open for Joe, which is very naive for me to think at the time. But he was like, why don't you come open for Joe? And so I did. We did that. And then like 2 months later, he invited me back. And then like another 2 months, he invited me to do another show. And Diamond Don, him and I's relationship had just grown over the course of time, you know, playing those shows together. And he was like, well, why don't we work on this together? You know, like, why don't I kind of take you under my wing and see how we can get this off the ground with a new project, you know, with, you know, things kind of changing.
Cool.
And all of that was really developmental. Nothing ever happened with American Field Day that I could ever really hang my hat on, like outwardly, as far as like huge accomplishments. Like we had some in Holloway, but like with American Field Day, it was more just developmental.
Sure.
And working alongside Don and like the producer that I ended up working with here, Bill Reynolds, like all of that stuff was really cool. And when I brought up the meat on the bone thing, I think when he started working with me, he was like, these songs are good, but they need to be great. And so coming to Nashville for the first time and like sitting in a room with people who were telling you like, this isn't good yet, but it can be. It was really, really formative. And at 16 or 17, it was hard to like walk into a room with heroes of yours and have them be like, this isn't, you know, like, this isn't quite there yet. But those were all the guys that I still look back on now, and I'm so glad I heard those exact words from them.
What a cool opportunity for just to have. I was
so lucky to even get that feedback in the first place.
Yeah, to be taken under their wing and like, oh my goodness. And I'm probably at that age, were you scared? Were you nervous? Like, how'd you feel? Or were you ready?
I think like, well, never ready. I mean, like I still don't even think I'm ready for half the stuff that goes on. But like I said, I think with my experience with Holloway and that first band, it was enough confidence for me to like just dip my toes out here and see what it would be like, kind of just being around the big, you know, the big guys. And and it was, you know, it was everything I kind of thought it would be, you know, and exciting and scary, but there was an overall comfort that was always there with the guys that I was working with. And I really credit Don for, when I was that age, coming in and introducing me to the right people, because I think really quickly that could have just gone really wrong, you know, had I been in the rooms with people who didn't know how to communicate. And so, you know, it's,
which is easy to happen if you meet some people in Colorado, not because of Colorado, but just in a city that's not necessarily a music city, and where there's like a lot of people who are just trying, and there's not a lot of professionalism sometimes. But
exactly, it was going from a world of this could happen to like this happens all the time.
Yeah. And was that a reason why you ended up moving to Nashville, is because of that experience?
I think so. Yeah. I a lot of the bands that were coming up out of Denver were all just, I felt like reaching some sort of a cap where they just like kept getting past a threshold. And I mean, I saw it with a lot of artists where I was like, I wondered if they moved to Nashville and they were just around like a few more like extra resources, what that would have looked like for them. And we also had great bands that came out of Denver too, with Nathaniel and with the Lumineers and the Fray. But it was a lot more rare to see. And so I wanted to come out here and to see what it would be like. Yeah. And yeah, just make new friends and explore new resources and listen to other people. That was the other thing, was it wasn't that I wasn't learning anything in Denver, but I just felt like there was more to learn here.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why I probably moved here.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why we all move here. It's like, let's take it to the next level. Let's learn. Let's kind of figure this out.
Yeah, it wasn't even this idea of like, let's go be like a rock star. It was like, let's go learn how rock stars are being rock stars and then try and make some version of it where you can put food on the table someday.
And I do feel like having moved here, like just the fact that I moved here, I could always move away and I could still take from my experience here and be able to do it anywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
So how long were you doing American Field Day before you moved?
So about a year and a half. And I had done a tour with a couple different people, or a couple tours with different people. And then was supposed to do, we were just talking about the South by in March of 2020. And that was when the pandemic started.
Gotcha.
And so at that point, it was kind of just, we're just going to keep working, on developing as like an artist, whether it's writing or, if we can do some form of like safe recording, but it's like shows are obviously off the table for a while. So that was about as long as the American Field Day thing lasted, because when I got to college, that was kind of when I fell into the next project where I was like, set American Field Day in the backseat, and eventually
is American Field Day ever going to come? Because here's where I want to kind of get into is American Field Day is you.
Yeah.
But you are also Patrick Armould.
Yeah.
So, and you have this new song out, you're starting this new chapter as a solo artist.
Yeah, man.
Was there ever a thought in your mind of like bringing back American Field Day and just doing it under that? And why the change to your name? So,
I mean, it's funny. Like, I don't even know if I ever really came up with a full reason why we didn't keep American Field Day. Like, it's funny, and I think a lot of people can relate to this too. When you're coming up with a band name or an artist name, you'll pass it off to like 3 of your friends or 4 of your friends, and like they're all going to have a different opinion on what you should do.
Yeah.
And the consensus of like everyone was like, you should just do your name. Like American Field Day was like a fun band name, and really cool. But at this point too, like I had my work with Hello Darling too, and so I just kind of wanted to just do my name, and it would make it easier for people to find the other stuff that I've done too, because I still really am proud of that work, and want people to enjoy it too if they want. So yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the bigger reasons why I was just like, I'm just gonna
start a new chapter,
just do my name. Just start a new chapter.
And what I love about, because I went through the same thing when I started my solo project, I'm like, should I be a name, an alias? Like, what should I do? And ultimately I went with my name. And I think the biggest reason is because it's like, this is me. No one can take it away from me. Yeah. Like, this is like, when people see me, they see me. They don't see like this, container that I built. I don't want I am the container. Right. Like, it's me. I want it to reflect me.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't want it to I want it to reflect my art. And when the band is up there, like what we're doing together, like, I think it's just whatever, it's Patrick Armould's music, but it's like, we're doing it together, we're playing together, and there's an energy. But, being really clear on what's fronting it and kind of where it's coming from, exactly like what you're saying is, I think just the point that I had kind of gotten to, and it's like, and so it just made more sense after a while. Yeah.
And you could always do the American Field Day thing again. Totally. If there was a reason to, if you wrote something and you're like, hey, this is a American Field Day song for whatever
100%,
reason.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I think the other thing is like, it just gives me less of a reason to like I can never, or I don't ever have to walk away from like Patrick Armould. Like, I can just keep adding to this as long as I want to. And it's all this,
And it's yours forever.
It's this chapter. Yeah. And this is a chapter that it can last however long I want it to. So
that's awesome, man.
Which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
We'll say. that's
so you just came out with your first song.
Yeah. So started with the first one.
Talk to me about like, what's the name? What's the vision? Why was it this song that was your first single?
Yeah. So the song is called Only Heart. It features Grace Russell, who was my last bandmate, and Hello Darling. We co-fronted that band for a few years, and so she wrote the song, and then we wrote with Jesse Slack, another friend of ours.
Okay.
And this song was actually written before I had decided to do the solo project. This song and what will be the second single also were actually 2 songs a part of what was going to be another Hello Darling record. And then there are a couple other ones left over as well. But I felt like like when I had talked to Grace about it, we were both really proud of what we did, when we made the song, and we produced it, or Brian Elmquist produced it from the Lone Bellow. And I mean, he just believes in us both so much, individually, but when we were working together too. And I think when we had both stepped away from Hello Darling, I think there was that music left over where we're like, this should still be kind of heard. In any way that we can, kind of do it. And so I was like, maybe this is a good kind of way to lead into what I'm doing with my solo stuff. Cause it's accurate and, narratively, and just kind of with these first two singles, I don't know, they seem to really encompass what life has looked like in the last kind of year and a half since I have figured out, or spent all this time figuring out kind of what I wanted to even do, music wise. So it felt like the right place to start. It was kind of like, I don't know, the calm after the storm in a lot of ways, where these songs and, they represent kind of a crazy time that I went through that I'm really excited to forget, but also have. And that kind of goes back to my name stuff too, is it's like, these two songs like represent like a period of time in my life where I can really always look back on that and be like, okay, later on, like 2 years even from now, if I have it, like, I'll look back and be like, oh, like this has been the growth, or this has been the change over the years. And being able to reflect on that, is really fun, because I still look back on the stuff that I did when I was in high school, and I'm like, I'm really, it was bad, but I'm proud of it,
no, totally.
And
would you say
I
it
don't know
was
if that makes sense. That's
maybe
a
a little
wild answer.
therapeutic then to use a song that was going to be a part of another project? Because for me, I would find that really, like, honestly, I'd find that hard to like push through and to make a song that was meant for something else. But and I guess I've done that actually. My first single was meant for something else. And,
exactly.
That's funny actually. Now that I'm saying it out loud and thinking of it with you, maybe
I think it takes a different definition over time, and I think how you look at it, is kind of all that matters. Because I mean, like when I put out the single, it's like the expectation is not for this to be like I'm not going on Saturday Night Live, you know what I mean? So
I
don't know. It just felt like a really comfortable place to start, and I think that like putting vulnerability into it too, it's like it feels safe, to like kind of lead off where I left off, and then kind of grow into myself a little bit.
Okay, that's awesome, man. I know it's
which is wild, but it's true. And
you bring up like music, or the meaning, like how you look at it and the meaning changing, and it's funny how songs really do that.
And that was the other thing,
that I think that happens to people, to listeners on the other end, like as they have a song that lives with them for years, that song changes the meaning as they go through life. But like people need to realize that as artists, it changes for us too, even before we even release it sometimes.
Right.
And
and I think the other part is like, there were a lot of hands in that song and this next one where it was like, there were people who were proud of this, and want it to come out. And it's like, I want to showcase these guys too. It's like what I said about the band stuff. It's like, I'm representing it, but there's a whole other like team that works on this stuff that I really want to give credit to also, and shine a light on. And I said this when I put out the single. It was like, one of the coolest parts about living in Nashville is, if you're lucky, you get to work with your heroes sometimes. And so that was exactly how I felt about when we were recording these songs, whether I knew if it was going to be my stuff or a Hello Darling record or whatever it was like, I'm still really proud of this. I still really love this. And I love the people I'm working with, and want to give them,
it's awesome,
as much credit as I can, and showcase their talent. It's like everybody was just so spot on from the beginning, throughout that process. And so it was really
who
fun.
did work on this new single, and who's working on your new stuff? And is it anybody from your past projects as well, or? So
it's kind of, this new team has kind of been, so it's new. I mean, Grace and I did some stuff with Brian Elmquist, who is from the Lone Bellow, and he eventually has now produced all my stuff, and is my producer. But we went in and did those 4 songs with him, which ended up being a really similar team for my solo stuff too. So Brian Dolly playing bass. Brian's the man. He plays with Rustin Kelly and does a bunch of amazing
love
production
Rustin.
work. Yeah, he's just and he's honestly just one of the like sweetest people. And another like just another point of like he was just such a great part of that process that like I just want to carry with me, you know, whether it's like released or not. But Brian and then John Truman played drums, and John's just like unbelievably talented. Like anyone would be so lucky to bring him on the road with them. Like you can put any trust into that guy. And then Brian Elmquist, he played a lot of guitars, a lot of different stuff. Had some strings, had some different stuff. Christian Pascal mixed it. He did an amazing job. And then Mitch Parks, who worked a long time with Ed Sheeran, and he works now with Callum Scott. He was a big part of like all of the auxiliary stuff on the back end.
Oh, crazy.
And he's just like a wizard. Like you watch him walk around the studio and you're like, how about this? And like play a little part, and like it'll just like the DAW will catch it, and then he'll be like, I'm gonna come over here, and like he'll just have everything active, and then whatever kind of comes into his head, he'll just go and do. And that
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was just like watching Get Back like in a different way.
Oh yeah.
It was like, this guy's crazy, but also just like the sweetest dude. And all of those guys have been such a big part of helping me kind of get back to just wanting to do music again, you know, and write and record. You know, I used to hate being in the studio because I'd always felt so under the microscope. I don't really know why I didn't like that.
Really?
I think just because like I was much more thinking about like flaws or like little things that weren't great that I'd be doing. And now I walk into the studio and I'm like comfortable. I'm around people that I just like love as human beings. It's just like last thing that I care about is if like my voice cracks on the basic tracking for something. You know, it's like I'm not focusing on that.
And good musicians will raise you up.
Exactly.
Right.
That's they make you forget about stuff like that. And are supportive, and
that's awesome.
Those guys are my heroes.
Do you feel like they're kind of helping you shape a new sound, or is this like kind of, I don't know, talk to me about that. Is this like a new direction that they're helping you form, or?
Yeah, I think they're a huge part of helping form that, in the way where I've always been pretty clear on what the identity should be and where I want the direction to go.
Okay.
But I think there's a really big difference between knowing where you want to go and then bringing in the right people to take you to where that needs to go.
Sure.
And so working with Brian Elmquist is, you know, my producer, I trust him so much that like he's going to put the right pieces in play in order to kind of encapsulate what we want to do. So like going into this, we were like, how do we make Elvis Costello and Role Model kind of meet each other? And that was exactly kind of what we tried to capture. And I would like to think it was pretty close to
I can hear that.
You know, so especially with the later songs that'll come out that are a little bit more poppy, and you know, it's just time goes on, like the direction just keeps, you know, moving a little bit further. But I mean, they're just always going to come in with different ideas, and they're all seasoned dudes. So they've all been in that situation before, and how they pull from those past experiences and pour into what you're creating that's what I can't emulate, you know, that's the experience that I don't have. And so it's extremely valuable.
Are they on like the whole, is this a record, by the way?
It's 6 songs.
Six songs. And they're on all of it?
Yeah, it's the same cast for the whole thing. And is there an overarching message on this record or on this EP? What's the, you know, what are you trying to say? I think for me, it's an EP a lot about detachment, and not only from just people from my past, but also the person that I was in the past, and how I've been able to grow from that, and how I'm continuing to grow from that. There's something so valuable about just saying what you want to say, and not framing it in a way where you're worried about what other people are going to think. And if I learned anything from this process with working with those guys too, it's like, just say what you want to say.
Yeah.
and we're going to figure this out, and we're going to deliver it in the right way. And so,
Well, and the great thing is in music, you can say exactly what you want to say, and people don't always pick up on things anyways.
right. They just should interpret it the way that they want to.
As they're going to, yeah.
Exactly. And so if I can give a general theme as to what's going on and people can attach to it personally, whatever way they want to, then my goal was completely accomplished.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, heartbreak and growth and all those different things are kind of the big overarching themes, which I think are, kind of typical, but it was really interesting to go on this journey of writing these songs and bringing them to life and the people who were a part of them. It's crazy.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome. What's the, maybe we'll get more into the business aspects, but what are your plans moving forward with promotion, and how has what does your strategy look like coming out with this new project? I mean, you're kind of starting fresh, man.
Totally.
Are you hey, I need to be on the content game? Are you yo, I need to pitch to radio?
Sure.
What are your steps that you're doing right now?
A lot of it has been surrounding content. I mean, my approach to it has completely changed from even when I moved here 5-6 years ago and started Hello Darling. It was the content thing wasn't even a thought in my mind, and now that's been a huge part of it. But making the content earlier on and adding it all up and having a huge folder of stuff makes it so easy.
Yep.
And if you just work on the back end of getting all of that prepped and done, it makes it so much easier, where it's if you're sitting down the day of that you need to post and you're oh, I need to make a post, that's the first way that you get behind. So when I started getting on top of it that way, it made it a lot easier. And then the content thing, I think you just got to try a million different things to figure out kind of what's connecting. And then it's a lot of trial and error, and I haven't been able to quite figure it out yet, but I wake up every single day trying to find a way to make it fun for me too, because I used to hate it. I was I don't want to, I just want to focus on playing shows and making music,
I know.
But if you can have fun with it, where you're oh, I enjoy editing it this way, or going and finding cool locations to shoot at, or whatever it is, if you can make it fun for yourself, it becomes a lot easier over time. So the content thing has been a big part of the promo for this, and backing that up with ads and all that good stuff, and then starting to do some shows, but just being intentional about which ones, just making them special. It's not a bad thing to just go and play a bunch of empty rooms, but I think it can be really bad for your confidence early on when you're starting a project.
It can be bad, but also for the youngsters out there, you got to eat shit a little bit.
And you do have to pay your dues. Yeah. And it's Seth and I have had plenty of that over the years too, where it's playing. So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how to avoid it at this point, but inevitably that will happen, too, at some different stage of this, hopefully sooner than later. But being intentional with the shows, not just oh, will there be people there? But it's is this a cool thing?
Yeah.
Are people going to be interested in this? And not just the music and what I'm doing, but the other people and the vibe. And that's another cool thing about Nashville is there's all these different pop-up shows and boutique-y sort of shows that happen all the time.
Yep.
Those are the coolest ones.
Those are, I know.
I think.
In the it's funny. When I was a kid, I say kid, early 20s, man, we used to go play house shows, and that was a big thing,
That's another thing, yeah.
And then that kind of dropped off, and I don't know if that's because I got older or if it's a post-COVID thing, but then coming to Nashville, that's a thing again. It's totally a thing here. I'm
yeah.
And those are some of the most fun shows I've been to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And when we were in Hello Darling, we would just reach out to friends of ours all over the country and be this is what people do in Nashville. They'll just be invite 15 of your friends and come over, and this band is going to set up and play.
Yep.
And so we would just get other people to do that, and we'd just go through the Midwest and play all these cool house parties.
That's awesome.
Sometimes were people in their late 50s, and then sometimes it was people who were freshmen in college, and it was really fun.
That's awesome.
That, and it feels intentional, and cool. Not that going to see a band at a club where there's only 15 people there isn't cool, because there's a cool part about that too, especially if that becomes something, because you're later going to be like, oh, I saw Fleet Foxes, play to 15 people. That would be crazy. But I don't know, there's something special about kind of each one of those things. But
it's kind of like what's their names? All American Rejects.
Exactly.
And how they did that backyard thing. And now, did you see that they just released another platform? I can't remember what it's called. But basically it's all based around that idea of like, get the people who are going to come to the show first, and then you put on the show. So you say, hey, I want to put on a show at this backyard, or I want to put a show on at this venue or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then they rally like their fans together, and then they put it on.
Love that.
Kind of like the backyard stuff that they did. And it's just interesting to see all these new ways of like being intentional,
People love that.
Yeah.
Like that. It's not that All American Rejects were like just gone, but that totally revamped people's love for their music.
Yeah.
So
totally.
And so I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like just making it intentional or making it fun or something different.
Yeah.
It can always just boost the experience by just a little bit more.
Well, because we've all done the whole like play Lost Lake on a Tuesday,
right. And that's what I'm talking about.
Try and build up, and
and
it's just like, oh my gosh, it's such a grind, and trying to make it fun is.
And there's that's great. Yeah, there's a whole different lesson that comes from that experience too, which I think is really valuable as well.
What do you think like needs to change in the industry? And this could be not just like live shows, but just like in general, like what do you see happening in the music industry right now that you wish was different?
Quick pause here. If you're an artist listening to this, thinking about how you can get your music in front of more people, I want to tell you about Discovr. Discovr is a platform built to help independent artists get their music onto mainstream radio. It's a real opportunity to move beyond just socials and playlists and put your songs in a space where people are actively listening. If you're serious about growing your audience and seeing where your music can go, check out discoverradio.com. That's Discover without the E, radio.com. All right. Let's get back into the conversation.
The one that gets talked about a lot is ticket prices, right? I mean, I think it's just killing people and fans, especially like younger people who want to go see some of these bands that can't legitimately because they can't pay for it. It's kind of hard, and music has always been this thing that's affordable and accessible and should always be.
Yeah.
So a hard time with that. But the other thing is like, I wish people would still buy music.
Yeah.
But those are the top two that people are talking about right now.
Bringing up ticket prices, I just bought tickets today for a show, and I spent $25. I got 2 tickets. They were $25 each, and then the fees were $25.
Yeah.
So I paid paid for another ticket in fees.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think my fees for I went and saw Oasis. It was like $100.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I don't know. I really wish that would change, and hopefully, I haven't seen too much about that recently, but it sounds like there's some different hearings going on, which is good.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we'll see. But I think it's great. I think there's more venues being built, and when people got so scared about live music going away during COVID, I'm really glad that 5 years later we can all stand here now and are really pumped about, like, at least here in Nashville, like seeing these new venues go up and all these different concert series still going on, and that's important, and the live thing is so important, and artists have just got to make money doing that for right now.
I know, man. I know. What's like an area where you've felt like you've wasted your money? Just throughout your career in music and in marketing and all of that, where do you feel like you've wasted your money?
That's such a good question. I think this is also one of the best things I've spent my money on is being in a studio and working with a producer. You can sometimes spend too much money on that. And I think when you run into that is when you're just not quite ready to be at that certain point yet, whether it's like in the creative process where like the songs aren't just quite ready, or you don't have the right guys who are there to record, because like the worst thing is to have to go back and redo it or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say that there's some of that where it was like, even going into the process, it was like, this is not going to go good, but we're going to spend a couple grand on trying to do this. And it's like,
you think you're going to hammer it out, and then you get in there and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. Just like preemptively going into something that you know you're not ready for. It's like we all have that kind of internal timer with ourselves where it's like, or just intuition where you know if you're ready or not to like start recording something, I think. And there have been many times where I've gotten to a process where it was like I thought a song was done or like fully written or whatever, and then it got recorded. Yeah. And 6 months later, I'm like, this was such a terrible choice.
I'll tell a story real quick. This was with a band I won't disclose, but you know the band. And we sent our songs to be mixed by a pretty big mixer, and he charged $4,500 a song.
Yeah.
And we thought we needed that done. Well, we get the first mix back, and the drums are just out of time. And I'm like...
They're out of time?
They're like not in time. And I'm like, so did we like really send... Like the groove's weird. All the time feels weird. And we're like, did we send him the wrong drum? Like what happened? And I think it just wasn't edited correctly. I don't know. For whatever reason, it was fucked up.
Jeez.
And they go, no, it's just the mix. No, it's just the mix. So we go, okay, let's get another mix done. We go to mix 2. Still feels weird. We got all the way to mix 4. And I said, guys, this isn't going to get, it needs to be fixed. Yeah. But at that point, you don't get to say.
It's not going to get fixed by this person, though.
It's not going to get fixed by this person. And you don't get to say, hey, can you add in this? Can we fix it and have you add it in?
Right.
Like what's done is done. And you
by
owe
that
them money.
Point in time, the mix engineer is annoyed because of, being asked to do it a million different times. And you're like, the studio is like, I think one of the easiest places.
So we ended up having to redo those drums though. And maybe we ended up retracking some stuff on top of it because of the time, when you start messing with time, a lot of things get jumbled up.
Totally.
Like musical time is what I'm talking about. And so anyways, we wasted $4,500 on that mix, and we got it mixed by someone else after that.
Whoa.
Because we didn't have the budget to keep going.
Right.
So huge learning experience of being ready.
Yeah.
Like have your shit ready.
Yeah, just be ready. Yeah. And I mean, for young artists, that's a hard question to ask yourself. And that's why, like, when you go in when you're young, just like don't spend a bunch of money. Like there's studios that are affordable too for a reason. So
totally.
But yeah, I mean, like basically that was just an example of me being in over my head, So I think when going into the studio like that was one of the easiest places to lose money.
Speaking of being in over your head though, like you got thrown into the mix pretty young, and it's pretty impressive to see like just how much you're so young still, and just how experienced you are. And I'm like, man, I'm jealous. I wish I had that as a kid. So that's awesome.
We'll see. I mean, I'm so lucky because I had the right people, like I definitely have always looked to just learn as much as I can. There have been moments where, I thought I knew when I didn't, and I was just talking about that then. And there are a million times, but, I've learned so much from my failures, and I've learned a lot more from that than, any success I've had, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see failure happen just like every single turn in the bend, because that will just like burn you out completely. So luckily there's been enough time in between each one. But yeah, man, I mean, truly, I just credit the people that I've had, in my life and that have supported me, because, I don't know if I'd still be doing it. I after I left Hello Darling, it was tough to kind of understand why I still wanted to do this. Like I think that's a good question to always ask yourself too, as an artist. It's like, why are you doing this?
Did you ever consider not doing it?
Yeah.
Consider walking away from music completely?
Yeah. And that was kind of where I was at for a little bit, where it wasn't that I didn't want to, it was more just like, I mean, you reflect on, at that time, a lot of like the success that I had with Hello Darling, and like how much I loved being in that band, and you're like, I might never have something like, that I feel this attached to ever again. And so it's hard to be like, oh, like dust yourself off and start doing it on your own.
Yeah.
But
It's hard because you kind of grow your identity into that.
Yeah.
Like that is, I am this band, or I am this band is
Exactly.
like, and you probably had these conversations too of like, this is our career, guys. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
And then when it's
like,
not, all of a sudden,
happen.
Yeah.
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 It's tough when you're convinced that something is going to work and it doesn't. But that's, again, one of those big lessons that you learn where it's like, okay, don't get in over your head again. Just chill and roll with the punches, but also initiate, all the different things that you can, whether that's playing a show or like making a new connection with a radio person or just meeting a new person at a show who might not even be a musician. Like each one of those things, I think there's so much value to, in order to just grow as an artist. And so, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of thought about quitting, but then I came back to town and I was immediately just like, I think I went to a club show or something and I was just like immediately reminded, I was like, I can't not do this.
Yeah.
At least right now. It's like,
yeah,
right now, this is just what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so who knows what'll happen, but like I said, grateful, man, for my friends and the small crew that's been there. It's just amazing what
That's
people
awesome.
can do for you.
So you're coming out with this EP. When does it fully come out? You said you had a second single pretty soon on the way?
Pretty soon on the way. Yeah, we don't have a date for this one quite yet, but yeah, there's going to be a second single coming out, and then I think we're going to do mostly singles for the first few.
Okay.
So, and then yeah, there will be an EP of some form at some point. But
all right.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to just be playing again. We played on Tuesday night and got another show in April on the 25th here, and
cool.
It felt so good. We played the other day, and then we were in rehearsal. We played the first song, and like my legs just like couldn't stop shaking after the first. I was just like, man, I just missed doing this, and it just like felt so good, and with those guys especially. And I was just like, man,
that's awesome.
It just feels good to be back doing it
again. Are any of those guys who are playing in your live band, were any of those guys recording with you as well, or is it? Gotcha.
Yeah,
cool.
So it's a totally different team, but it's cool because they really lived up to the challenge of replicating the record in a way that it could translate live in a little bit more of like a punch you in the face sort of way, which was exactly what I wanted. And they were like,
hell yeah,
we got it.
Yeah.
And so
that was at the basement last Tuesday. Yeah.
Yes.
And how was that?
Awesome.
Yeah.
The New Faces night, if you're a Nashville like artist, I would tell anyone to do that. Like whether you just
wasn't it? It's packed, right? It's always packed.
Yeah, and like whether you are starting a new project or you're new to town, like there were a few people who were like just moved there, and I was like, I've been here for 6 years. Like I'm not new, but
this project is new.
But this project is new, so I was like, this is a cool little way to soft launch it. Yeah, and it was just like full of supportive people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And where is you said on this month on the 20th?
Yeah, we're doing it with Treehouse Nashville. It's like a house show collective.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do it'll be me and then my buddy Landon's going to play keys, and then Mario is my right-hand guy. He's going to play guitar. So it'll be like a little trio thing. So it'll be cool.
And you said that's on April 25th?
Yes.
April 25th.
Yeah, man. And then doing some shows with Will Hogue in July here. He's doing like an Eastside Ramble thing at Eastside Bowl.
Oh,
so
cool.
that will be really cool.
Dang, dude, you're launching it. You're going.
We're trying to get off to a fast start. See what happens, though. Talk about your music. Do you get to talk about your music very often on this?
No, not really. I don't ever talk about my stuff.
Okay, well, let's talk about what do you have coming up?
Oh, man, that's good.
You played South by.
Yeah, South by. I'm working on a single right now. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, I love that.
And I actually have like so many songs in the tank, and I'm currently like, this is where I'm at, is I've been producing a lot lately. Yeah. I've been producing other artists and producing myself, and I've gotten my own songs up to a point where I'm like, okay, I just want help.
Yeah.
And I think it's like there's an insecurity with me with that, of like not feeling like I'm enough, like of a producer.
Oh man, it's so hard. Like I just automatically default to that, but it's because I know for sure. So it's hard for me to give you advice on this, but it's like, because you're great at both being the artist and producing, because I've heard obviously both of those, the product of both of those things. So
Yeah.
I've always defaulted to just like, you guys, you know what? Like, I trust you. You're here for a reason. Like,
Yeah, well, that's the point of having producers. I feel like is just another set of ears, and you can relieve some of that pressure.
are you more hands-on when you work with other artists, or do you just like to step back and have a bunch of other kind of minds in the room working on it? And
No,
guide.
it's been very hands-on.
Cool.
So hands-on that I've never worked with a band when I produce. I've only ever worked with solo artists.
Okay.
And I have played all of the instruments
Yeah.
for them.
So very hands-on. That's for the furthest definition of it.
Yeah, I couldn't get more hands-on, which I'm fine with. That's just how it's been.
Yeah.
So
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means you know how to do everything.
I know how to do everything, but and even when I'm in the studio, like when I was working on my record with Chris, I was playing everything, and then he's producing in the sense of he's getting all the tones and telling me my takes aren't good enough and we need to do this, and
Yeah.
That's another thing is like working with people who, Chris Biebel is one of those people where like artistically and like ability, like music ability, maybe like him and I align a lot.
Yeah.
And we can riff off of each other and like
You gotta have
sing
that.
parts to each other and kind of, like him and I will know together when a take is good enough or not,
Yeah,
or know
exactly.
when it's this unspoken thing, but working with people like that is pretty important.
You gotta have that as a solo artist too. That was a good piece of advice that that the Lumineers gave me. It was like they were like, even the best solo artists are all going to kind of have that right hand guy that's helping them along the way. And it's like, I've always had that, I've never really been a solo artist, but it's like, even when I've been in bands, it's like, it's good to have that person who's kind of directing things.
Yeah.
But you got to trust them. So
Gotta trust
and
them.
it takes a long time to build that relationship too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess, and for me, I wanted to be able to do it all on my own because I feel like the name of the game these days is to just get it out, and I want to be fast and efficient.
yeah,
But I don't want to do it at the detriment of my music, and so now I'm starting to just kind of figure out what's my, like, I want to kind of mold the two. I want to be fast and efficient, but I also want to be, at a certain level.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to mold it into what's my new process rather than like having to save up a bunch of money and go into the studio every year,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm doing, is like single after single for a little bit, and then
Nice. Yeah.
we'll kind of see how it goes from there. But you have an audience already, I'm still like just getting mine off the ground. So it's a lot of different.
Do you feel like this
factors.
brings up something I was thinking earlier? Like, do you feel like some of that audience though from Hello Darling and from American Field Day are transferring over? Like,
Yeah.
have you already seen any of that?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there are cool people who like, I just consider friends now, who have like become quote unquote fans of my music over the years. And I'm like, we're just kind of buddies now. Like, you've like hung around this long. Like,
That's awesome.
Yeah. There's definitely some people who have just been supportive from day one, like even from the Holloway, like Denver days. So pretty cool.
That's
I'm really,
awesome.
yeah. It's
So
very
you're not
fortunate.
starting from zero.
Not zero. Yeah. And that's the other thing is like even when you start new bands, and if you've been in a band or you've been doing music for a while, it's like you should still have a lot of those resources if you've, played your cards right, and not use them, but, just always show up for other people, as much as you can. And it's a big life lesson that I think comes with the territory of being in the music industry. So,
Yep.
yeah, man.
Yeah. Just be a participant.
Yeah.
And a good person.
Be a good guy.
Well, right on, man. Thanks so
Thanks,
much
dude.
again for coming and talking. And
It's my honor, man. Thanks for having me.
yeah, always good
You're the
hanging.
best.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, dude.